So let's talk about blockchain. At its core, it's all about one thing: creating trust. I mean, how do you build trust in a digital world without a bank or a government in the middle? How does a massive network of computers run by people who've never met actually agree on what's true? Well, the answer comes down to two really powerful ideas: cryptographic hashing and consensus mechanisms. Let's dive in and see how they actually work.
Okay, before we get a whole network to agree on anything, we've got to solve a more basic problem first. Think about it. You have a super important file, a contract, a photo, whatever. How can you be 100% sure that not a single bit has been tweaked since you first created it? How do you prove it's the real deal to someone else without them just having to trust you? That's the puzzle we need to solve.
And the solution is a brilliant concept that works like a unique fingerprint for any piece of digital data. It's called cryptographic hashing, and it's our first pillar. Just imagine a kind of digital magic box. You can put anything you want into it, a single word, a whole movie, and it spits out a totally unique ID.
So what's actually going on here? Well, hashing is basically a math formula. It takes whatever you give it and turns it into a string of text that's always the same length. One of the most famous ones, the one Bitcoin uses, is called SHA-256. And that 256 part is the key. It means no matter what you put in, a tiny text file or a giant video, the output, which we call the hash, is always a 256-bit string. It's like a standard issue ID card for your data.
But here's where it gets really cool. This isn't just about creating a fingerprint. The real magic is how incredibly sensitive that fingerprint is. The tiniest, most microscopic change to the original file doesn't just adjust the hash a little bit. Oh no, it creates a completely different one that looks nothing like the original. We call this the avalanche effect, and it's what makes hashing such a beast for security. Let me show you what I mean.
All right, let's take this classic sentence. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. When we push that exact sentence through SHA-256, we get this long string of letters and numbers you see here. That is its one-of-a-kind digital fingerprint. And if you do it 1,000,000 times with that exact sentence, you'll get that exact same hash every single time. Now watch this.
And boom! See that? All we did was add one single letter, an S, to the end of dog. It's a tiny change you might not even notice, but look at the hash. It's not just a little different, it's completely scrambled, totally unrecognizable from the first one. And that's the point. This makes any kind of tampering instantly obvious. If a hash doesn't match, you know for a fact the data's been messed with.
So to quickly sum it up, a really secure hash needs three key things. First, it has to be deterministic. Same input, same output every time. That gives you reliability. Second, compression. Big or small, the input always becomes a fixed size output. That gives you consistency. And finally, it's got to be collision resistant. This just means it's basically impossible for two different things to accidentally create the same fingerprint. These three together are the bedrock of trust. Okay, so hashing gives us a rock-solid way to check if a single piece of data is legit. That's a huge deal. But a blockchain isn't just one file. It's a shared record book that's constantly growing. And that leads us to a much, much bigger problem. How do you get thousands of strangers all over the world to agree on what new stuff to add to the book? This is really the heart of the challenge for any decentralized system. You know, normally, a bank is the boss. They say what's valid. But on a blockchain, there is no boss, no central authority, no one in charge. So how on earth do all these participants, all these peers, come to an agreement, a consensus about the one true history of transactions? This is where our second pillar comes into play.
The answer is something called a consensus mechanism. You can think of it as the engine of agreement. It's basically a rulebook for the network that everyone agrees on beforehand. These rules dictate how new transactions get validated and how new blocks get added to the chain, making sure everyone's copy of the ledger stays perfectly in sync and nobody can cheat.
Now, there's not just one way to do this. Lots of different models have popped up, but two have really taken center stage, and they represent two totally different ways of thinking about how to keep a network secure and decide who gets to add the next block. This is the great debate: proof of work versus proof of stake.
Let's break this down. On one hand, you have proof of work, which is what Bitcoin uses. Miners use a ton of computer power to race to solve a hard math puzzle. The winner gets to add the next block and gets a reward. It's incredibly secure, but wow, does it use a staggering amount of energy. Then you have proof of stake. This is a completely different approach. Instead of burning electricity, validators lock up their own crypto as collateral. They stake it. The network then randomly picks a validator to create the next block. The result? It's way more energy efficient. Now for security, they're both pretty strong. Proof of work is vulnerable if someone gets control of more than half the computing power. With proof of stake, an attacker would need to own more than half the coins, which would be ridiculously expensive, but it does have a risk of the rich getting richer and controlling the network. And finally, speed and cost. Proof of work is slow. Bitcoin does maybe 7 transactions a second. Proof of stake systems can be way faster, doing thousands. And it's cheaper to get started with proof of stake. You just need to own the crypto, not a warehouse full of powerful computers.
Now, while proof of work and proof of stake get all the headlines, the story doesn't end there. People saw the downsides to both models, and that's pushed them to get creative and come up with all sorts of new consensus mechanisms. They're all trying to find that perfect sweet spot between security, efficiency, and decentralization.
One really interesting idea is proof of space and time. With this, instead of proving you've used a bunch of electricity, you prove that you've set aside hard drive space for a certain amount of time. Projects like Chia use this. It's a much greener way to go since it uses storage that's often just sitting there empty anyway.
Another clever one is proof of elapsed time. You see this a lot in private or permission blockchains, where you have to be invited to join. In this model, the system basically gives everyone a random lottery ticket in the form of a wait time. Whoever has the shortest wait time gets to propose the next block. It's a really fair and low-energy way to do things, which makes it great for businesses.
But here's the thing. No matter which consensus model and network picks, security is a constant fight. The very nature of these decentralized systems makes them a target for some really unique types of attacks. So, what are the big threats they're all trying to defend against?
Right, so we've already touched on the 51% attack. That's where one person or group gets majority control and can start messing with recent transactions. Then you have the Sybil attack, where someone tries to overwhelm the network by creating tons of fake identities to gain power. And finally, there's the long-range attack, which is a trickier threat for proof-of-stake systems, where an attacker tries to build a whole new fake history of the blockchain starting from way, way back.
So beyond just staying secure, the other massive hurdle is scale. I mean, Bitcoin does about 7 transactions a second. Visa does thousands. If blockchain is ever going to be a part of our daily lives, how can it possibly get faster and cheaper without giving up on the security and decentralization that make it special in the first place?
Well, the most popular answer right now is something called Layer 2 solutions. And the idea is actually pretty simple. Instead of trying to force every single little transaction onto the main blockchain, or Layer 1, you build a faster layer on top of it. This second layer can zip through thousands of transactions super fast and cheap off-chain. Then it just bundles everything up and reports the final result back to the main, super secure blockchain. It's kind of like taking a side road to skip a massive traffic jam on the main highway.
So when you put it all together, hashing gives us that unbreakable seal for our data, and consensus mechanisms give us the rules for how to agree in a world without a ruler. The whole debate between the battle-tested security of proof of work and the sustainable efficiency of proof of stake is really at the heart of where this tech is going. And it leaves us with a big question for the future of our digital world. What do we value more, proven security or sustainable efficiency? The answer is going to shape everything.